Good evening, welcome to tonight's studio. Well, we're going to do some more on this coffee jar. Well, tonight I'm just going to put the word coffee down the side. I can't particularly well. It has been suggested a nice coffee cup on the side, and that seems like a good idea actually, so we'll maybe do that on the next stream, which won't be tonight and it won't be tomorrow, but it will be sometime. It'll be on Thursday with a bit of luck. So in the meantime, this is just going to be probably a short one. Whilst I could do the lettering completely freehand, it's easier to prepare it first a little bit, especially when you want to spread it out a little bit. So, but that's kind of the first attempt at doing it by hand. If I was doing it properly, so to speak, what I'd have done is printed that out on a piece of paper. Everything would have been spaced out, and I'd have put it behind the glass and traced through. But we're not doing it that way. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work up. That way I don't erase what I'm working on. So I'm just going to at least outline all the lettering and then go back in and make them white. Like me, good evening and welcome this evening. What's up? Hopefully not a lot's up. I'm just doing something new. I've been doing the past 2 or 3 days. 2 days. I got my drill out here to do some cleaning up of some beads, and I was looking at it and thinking I could really do with doing some engraving, which is something I haven't done for a while, and I happened to empty the jar. So it's what, Tuesday today, isn't it? So Sunday and Monday, yesterday and the day before, I did a coffee related scene. So a nice beach to drink coffee on, and then a Greek table in a Greek cafe to drink coffee at. And today I'm actually writing the word coffee. Yeah. I can understand that. It's not actually as bad as it sounds. It's probably a good job I haven't been running this this drill then. This is an air turbine. I run it off a compressor. This is a dentist drill, and it sounds like one as well. The 3D table, yeah. In the right light, I mean, in the right light, it actually looks really 3D. Just to get the light angle right on it, and it really sort of shows up. I did think about doing a chair to go with it, but yeah. Oh, it's that's due today, is it? That sounds. Are you hoping to? Oh yeah, so you'll be waiting for that to arrive now. Yeah. Supposed to be. Yeah. Let's hope it's early and arrives on time. I believe you said you got your first project for it already set up, ready to go, haven't you? If I remember correctly. Once I've done the outline, I'll fill in the centre, but I'll probably try and use a different bit for that. Oh dear. Hopefully they weren't too close in size as well, so big ones and small ones maybe with a bit of luck. Or steel ones and aluminium ones would be quite nice. That'd be not too bad to pick up, but if they're close in size or the same colour, then I do not envy you the job of trying to sort those out. It's bad enough when you drop sort of 100 or something, never mind 3 kilograms worth. Still, you can't complain about having nothing to do. No close in size. Oh. That's going to be a fun thing, sorting those out then, isn't it? Because we have 3 cats here, or 2 of them have a tendency to like to jump on the desk. One of them at the moment is extremely less careful than he has been in the past, So I keep waiting for the day when he sort of jumps off something and kicks my boxes of rings all over the place. I'm not looking forward to that day. Right, that's the outline done. Now what I want you to try, because I haven't used one very much for this, is I've got a football shaped bit rather than a round one. A ball shaped bit, which I just want to try. Keep my foot up, in fact turn it off, then I don't jam up the gearbox on this. I don't like using that, not here, so we'll take that out. I can't even get it back in its bag. Looks like I'm going to actually have to use a tiny ball, a tiny diamond on this one. I don't know, let's have a go. I've got a small grinding stone here, which might have enough of a point on it to work. So slow it down a little bit. Clouds Guy, good evening, welcome, and Duke Farr. Good evening. Good evening. Hold this off the desk, otherwise you won't be able to hear a thing. I'm trying to use this particular stone just because it should actually create a whiter impression in the glass because of it's a coarser grit. I'm going to be better off using the diamond. Zoom, good evening, welcome. Yeah, diamond. These contain diamond chips. They're industrial diamonds and they're dental bits. And that's what is used at a dentist. In fact, that wants to be higher. Let's turn that one up. Problem we're using this is it's a very fine tip, and trying to create an even texture across the whole surface of the letter then is quite difficult. Yeah, they're very sharp. The diamond chips. They don't chip away at the teeth. It's a cutting action when they use it, when the dentist uses it. But the diamond is really very sharp. Doesn't go blunt very easily, and it creates a really quite a smooth texture when they're doing it on teeth. If they want to grind things away a bit more quickly than that, they use carbide cutters rather than this, which is a grinding action. Not bad. We'll go back over these again, but smooth out some of the edges and make them a little bit whiter. Not bad for freehand though. Rihanna DeWitt, hello, and Fit Me, good evening. My main camera's not synced with the sound, isn't it? The face cam is reasonably well synced. Of course, the sound's actually being picked up on a separate mic altogether, so I'm kind of surprised it isn't. I may have to look at a recording and see. But thank you, Cloud Sky. It's possible with two cameras and audio being fed separately. It is always possible. So it's kind of things. What I end up having to do is do like a clapperboard, which is kind of, and then look at that coming back. But it does look like it's. Yeah, there's a video delay. You're right, there is. I will take a look at that and probably have to delay that camera and the sound to match this one at some point. Normally it doesn't matter though, because there's usually not a lot of sound going on with the main camera. So how's everybody doing tonight? Excuse me not reading all the chat. It'll take a little as I have to look up, but I have to concentrate whilst I'm doing this. Whilst I do have around somewhere an eraser, so I can rub out or polish out some marks. This is kind of a if you touch it, you scratch it, and so you got to get it right the first time. You don't get much of a second chance with engraving on glass. Oh, that's good, Rihanna DeWitt. How did I get the blue colour? It's just a felt tip pen, permanent marker. It's a permanent marker except on glass. It will wipe off glass, especially with a solvent. So it was easier to draw on. Rather than just go, as I'd done the other two sides, these were just done purely freehand. Just with the engraving straight onto the glass, no preparing it beforehand. When it comes to lettering, you only need to, it's a bit hard sometimes to get the exact spacing or whatever, so it was easier to do it with a pen first, and then I could adjust it if necessary, although I haven't had to. This went on sort of first time. It's not quite straight, but it's near enough. If I was doing this sort of to sell or something like that, I'd have done this with printed it out on a piece of paper first, and then I'd have traced it through the glass. But as I'm doing this one purely freehand, just a felt tip pen, which just made it easier to do the layout. And I hope you feel better soon, Clouds Guy. It's not good feeling sick. I know that feeling, and I don't like feeling sick. Right, we'll now tidy some of that up a little bit. But that's the main the main engraving done on this side. So I've got some patches which I've not engraved properly, and I just want to tidy up some of the shapes, but we're almost done on this. Now it's always a good job to to move the drill bit along the axis of rotation rather than in the opposite direction. You just get a better edge that way. All I'm doing here is shallow engraving, so it's only not even 1/10 of a millimetre. It's enough to feel, but it's not very deep, isn't this? There are techniques of deep engraving which can produce some really nice effects, but for this, don't really need that. And this tool, very similar to in principle to a Dremel, only as you can hear it's a lot quieter if you're familiar with Dremels, and it's a lot better balanced. It's more of a professional tool, and for doing things like this it's a lot more comfortable to work with. I can almost use it like a pencil because I can get right close to the tip, and I can actually write with this quite easily. Don't very often, but I can. And one of the difficulties with thick glass is when you're looking at it, you can sort of see that you're actually seeing you can see a reflection off the back surface of the glass as well. So in certain circumstances, that C looks really sort of wide as I just move it slightly. But what you're seeing is the reflection off the back of the glass, so it gets thicker and thinner. And sometimes you have to be a little bit careful when you're doing this to make sure that you're not trying to compensate for the reflection that you're seeing off the back of the glass, because then you end up with some letters that are thicker than they're meant to be. As I mentioned, this is a diamond drill bit, and you don't need to be heavy-handed with it. It cuts the glass quite easily, and in actual fact being lighter actually helps. But this will quite easily cut all the way through this glass if I want it to do so. So light control is something that you kind of have to learn a little bit. Let the drill do the work rather than trying to force it. One of the problems with using a small drill like this is for frosting large areas is it's like trying to use a really fine pencil point down to fill in an area, and it's really hard to get a smooth consistent shading using a fine tip. Normally I'd use something a bit thicker like this, but this is just a bit too thick to do this with, and my finer grinding bits, I've lost the sizing collet that will let me put them in this drill. I don't know where it's gone. It'll be around somewhere, but I can't find it, so I'm limited to either really fine or quite large. All the intermediate size bits I've got I can't actually plug into this drill at the moment. It's a little bit annoying. I sometimes find myself holding my breath while I'm doing this, which of course is kind of totally the wrong thing to do, because you need to breathe. But you kind of almost automatically do it, because as you breathe you move very slightly, but that's why what I'm doing is I'm bracing my hand against the side of the glass so that if I do move one, they both move together and I don't actually accidentally scratch something. if I can find my other collet and my erasing wheel, I may even be tempted to do an engraved picture. I think I've got some glass frames around for that purpose. It's a while since, it's about a year since I last did any engraving apart from these past couple of days, so it's fun to get back to it for a while. Curved letters are always the hardest to do, but they're the most satisfying to get right. What a lot of professional engravers would do with something like this, though, is use something like a laser cutter or a knife cutter and cut a stencil out and then sandblast it, because that's quicker than doing this sort of thing by hand. Not too bad, but that's the point of practicing. My letter work is a little bit off. It's not too bad. It's easier to do letter work if you're doing straight lines than it is to do it like an angle like this. But when you're working on straight lines, you can draw guidelines for letter height and things like that. So it becomes a little bit easier, and especially if you're doing thin script as opposed to thick lettering, because with thick lettering the idea of course is that you've got a consistent width all the way around the letter, unless you're using a calligraphy style where it changes, and that all the letters have roughly the same thickness around them as well. But calligraphy style is an interesting one to do, especially if you get the embellishments on the calligraphy as well. Generally, if you're doing something like this, it helps to either have a black background or stuff a black cloth inside or behind the glass. That way you can see what you're doing a lot easier. I don't happen to have one to hand, so I'm doing it without. As you move around sometimes and just catching light, you can see little bits which are not quite as good as they might be, because they reflect light slightly differently, so that's why you see me just hopping backwards and forwards a little bit amongst letters. That's one thing where the larger grinding stones have less of a problem with that. With this, these small diamond tipped balls, you can literally draw lines which are finer than a hair. They can be really, really fine, and so when you're trying to fill in large areas, that becomes a little bit of a problem. That last E isn't quite as good as it should be. Let's tidy that up a bit more. just a little bit thin, just in this area here, not quite consistent. Even though this is a practice piece, that doesn't mean it's an excuse to do it sloppy, so I'm going to get it right. I mean, after all, that's what practice is about getting it right, but you know, I don't want to just sort of go, oh, it's going to be fine just because it's practice. In fact, that one's a little bit as well. They're often just very minor additions or marking, but it can make the difference between it looking just right and being something slightly off. Right, let's give this a polish. Let's have a so basically just polish the finger marks off of it for the moment. These particular jars are quite nice because they've got a very high gloss to them. What I should have done was clean the inside of the jar as well, but I think that looks okay. Of course, I've got finger marks all over the other sides, but one thing quite often that you do with engraving is engrave on the back, not the front. That way, for things like pictures and stuff, the engraving itself is protected, because if you get grease in here or oil, it will go transparent. So and you get grease on your finger marks, and it's you can lose some of the frosting because of the of just a fingerprint, and it can look odd then. Just needs a sort of a clean with a degreaser, sort of soap and water, or a little bit of things like rubbing alcohol or isopropanol. I think that's the right word. Medical alcohol. Or things like screen wipes, that sort of thing, as long as it doesn't contain oil. Okay, so we've got 3 out of 4 sides done. So we start with the something that's a bit hard to see with the light as it is, but there we go. So palm tree on a beach at sunset, and then we had a Greek café table. So nice place to drink coffee, a nice place to drink coffee. And then in case you weren't quite sure what this is about, it's coffee. And I've got to think of something to go on this side, this last side. It has been suggested to make it nice and obvious, a steaming cup of coffee, which actually isn't too bad an idea. So maybe that's what we will be doing when we do this this other side here. But I'm not going to do it tonight. I probably could, but I'm not going to. We'll do that on the next stream, which is going to be on Thursday. And what that means is we're finished for tonight. So it might seem quite simple to do lettering. To do lettering well takes time, and even sandblasting it takes time to do properly. And I don't have the ability to sandblast here, but getting nice consistent lettering is the same as when you try and do it by a pencil. To do it well takes time and takes practice, and that's what I was doing here, is practicing, and I'm quite pleased with that. To say I've not done any lettering for over a year, that's not bad as a first attempt. I could do better, but that's what practice is about. So next stream is going to be on Thursday, I think, where we'll do maybe the cup of coffee on the fourth side of this. Wish I could get. It's really hard to get a good picture with these. They're often better if you can edge light pictures, because then with the light going inside the glass, it reflects outwards from the engraving, and it shows up a lot better. Otherwise you're just relying on reflected light, and that's a lot harder to control the exact direction. But there we go. So I'm going to say thank you all for watching. I'm going to point out my own website, zarraganart.com. Now that I've started doing engraving, I'm going to have to add to that to explain a little bit more about engraving. Won't be this week though, so but check it out. It tells you there about some of the art forms like the pyrography and the scraper board, etc. that I've been doing. And I will remind people about the shop that's down there, zarraganart.etsy.com, which has got jewellery items in it, very much like that. And maybe now that I'm going back into doing some engraving, I'll have to put some engraved pictures in there as well. But again, you'll see me do those on stream before they go in the shop. And for the moment, I will point out the coupon code that's there as well, if you are interested in any of the jewellery which has appeared on there and is in the shop as well. Check it out. Some nice things there for gifts, or for yourself if you're into jewellery. In the meantime, what I'm going to say is I'm not going to be on stream tomorrow, so my next stream will be on Thursday. That will be about 8 PM UK time, 2000 hours UTC or GMT. Both the same, all three the same for the moment. We change the clocks shortly in the UK, but I'm not sure exactly when. But for the moment, they're all three the same. So, from the White Rose County of West Yorkshire in the UK, thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, and I hope to see you again in the future, say on Thursday. Bye for now.